Hey everybody, it's Downtown Dave. So how was that for a dramatic opening? No downtown content tonight. We're actually going north to Macomb County. We're going to deep dive into what the Central Michigan Emergency Network and the Wayne Oakland Macomb Emergency Network are doing. The work we did in this video here encompasses over 2 days across 3 different sites. So we're building a microwave network with 5 and 60 gigahertz point-to-point links across the state of Michigan. These links carry everything from email and text messages to repeater audio and emergency communications. Today we're going over the first few sites of Macomb County's implementation, which is just phase 1, point-to-point sites. Phase 2 down the road we are going to do point-to-multipoint connections, which will allow licensed amateur radio operators to connect to the network from their house for free and pull in a public IPv4 space. How cool is that? So here's a map of Michigan, and you can see how expansive this network already is. Here's a zoomed in version of the target area in question, Macomb County. So the yellow lines are the point-to-point links that we're currently building. The circles are the estimated footprint of the point-to-multipoint sites for phase 2. So the first stop is going to be the Ascension Macomb Hospital on 12 Mile and Warren. So here we're installing point-to-points to Mount Clemens, Sterling Heights, and the future site in Detroit. So we arrived pretty early, scoped out the entrance, which we had to go through the emergency room, walked in with all our stuff, and then we had to use the loading dock to bring in all the equipment. So the equipment had to be assembled, so here I am taking the reflector, attaching it to the bracket. This is the actual antenna itself. This thing has to be screwed into the reflector in the bracket, and it's held on with this nut here that you hand tighten. Then you got to use the Jeff wrench, which is a giant pipe wrench, to really tighten that bad boy on. So that's what that looks like, and then you have to build the bracket. Brackets are a little complicated, but I had a little prototype that I could copy off of here. There's a lot of parts involved, but we figured it out. So this is the actual radio. It's powered and linked via PoE. It has 3 connectors, 2 SMAs for 5 gigahertz and 1 SMA for GPS, which is used for timing, I believe. Then you attach the antenna to the radome, which keeps out weather and squirrels and stuff. Then you fasten that down, and it's ready to go. So this is the Mount Clemens dish. Paul, KC8BDK, the brains behind this entire design, is handing it up to Jeff, KB8SWR, who is our motivator, muscle, and climbing guru. Here you can see how the dish snaps in at the bottom point where it pivots, and then the bracket on the top locks in. That allows you to adjust your elevation. So the radio is pretty cool. It has LEDs on the back that tell you your signal strength to the other side. This one was locked in pretty good, but our Detroit site doesn't have a radio on the other side, so we had to use this special tool here to tell us which way to aim it. And check this thing out. So it uses GPS, a couple antennas, and a compass, I'm assuming, to tell you exactly which way you're pointed. Home base Fred told us over the radio which way to aim it, and here we are locking it in. And now you can see our other endpoint here, which is downtown Detroit. So okay, antennas are installed. Now we feed the Cat 6 through into the building, zip tie that stuff down, and test it. We kept failing. I probably failed 7 times on these termination because of this crappy cable. Good thing we had this cool tester here that showed us exact point of failure on what wire, and we knew exactly how to fix it. So here's one last view from the roof. We're looking west, panning from south to north, and you can actually see the GM Tech Center here. Alright, site number 2 is the Richmond site. Here we have point-to-point links going down to Mount Clemens, and then we have a point-to-point link going over to Romeo. So I'm pulling up the site a little bit late. Here's Cam up on the tower already. Our job down here on the ground is to make sure his job is as easy as possible. This is actually the Department of Public Works for the City of Richmond's facility, and here's a view from the base of the tower. So it's a good thing we had Randy here. He's from the Central Michigan Emergency Network Engineering and Safety Team. Thank God he was here, otherwise we would have been in a lot of trouble. So Cam is up there. He's sending down his rope for the first payload. First payload is an antenna for a repeater, but we needed to have this special jumper here to convert the feed line to what the antenna selects, which is N on this side and DIN on the other side. Without this jumper, we would have been in big trouble. So we have Site Supervisor Hannah and Aerial Photography Director Fred Moses motivating me to attach the brackets to the antenna. And here I am again making myself look foolish. So I feel like this was a lot more complicated than it should have been, so Regional Manager Sean came out to give me a hand with this. So eventually we got this payload ready to send up. We got it tied up to the rope. Our bucket of rope is ready to deploy, and here we are with this little winch mechanism here to pull the things up. We're not doing this by hand. Alright, all hands on deck. We are at our stations ready to deploy this first antenna. Alright, up, sending one antenna up. This thing went up there with no problems at all, very uneventful, and here we are with our little drone, gonna give us a heads up view of what happened. All right, Skycam, I'm sending you up. Let's go up 200 feet. Let's take a look at Cameron here. Attaching this antenna to the bracket. This is dangerous work. You got to have some pretty heavy balls to be doing stuff like this, but the view is fantastic, isn't it? And wow, great job on getting this thing up there. So here's a supervision and engineering team prepping payload number 2. Payload number 2 is a 5 gigahertz dish that is going to go point to point to Mount Clemens. So this guy went up without any issue at all. Up, up, up it goes. I think a lot of that is due in part to the expert winch control operator we had on site. He did a fantastic job. All kidding aside, it really is a team effort here. So our tower guy was getting thirsty. On payload number 3, we taped some iced tea to the dish and sent that up so he could stay hydrated. So here we are using the same technique to send up payload number 3. This guy went up with no problems at all. And here he is, up, 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 and away. So here's a shot from the ground on camera 1 showing the dishes mounted and aimed to their respective sites. And here's a shot from camera 2. We're going up and we're showing you what it looks like. Hey Cam, how you doing, man? Great work. So yeah, pretty cool view from up here, don't you think? So I believe this dish here is shooting to Romeo and this one here is shooting to Mount Clemens. I may have it backwards, but I think that's right. So the fun's not quite over yet. We have to secure these data lines to the tower so they're not flopping in the wind. Here we are bringing them into the base of the building here and zip tying them in and fitting them into the equipment. So while we were over at Richmond, team number 2 was over at Romeo, basically doing the same thing. This is the fire station for the city of Romeo, and this is a look at the tower. We have 3 5 gigahertz dishes on the top, and then we have the same RF repeater antenna that we put way up there. So here's our dishes. This one went east to Richmond, this one went south to Mount Clemens, and this one went north to Lapeer. It's kind of an important hub linking all these other sites together. There's a few other things I wanted to cover, like the 60 gigahertz link that's linking at 2 gigabits per second through output, and the Sterling Heights location, which I wasn't on site for, but had this awesome monopole antenna structure, so you probably just have to tune in next time. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I did making it. If you need any information on this project or want to get involved, please see the links in the description below. Special thanks to Fred, Sean, Paul, Randy, Jeff, Cameron, and Hannah, and everyone else that volunteers their hard work and time to make this network grow. This is Downtown Dave saying thanks and see you next time. Bye.